Hey folks, my name is Rene Enriquez. Welcome to Uncensored. We are back for a new episode. A lot of questions have been pouring in. Comments, questions, requests, and I can't respond to them all. As much as I'd like, I cannot do that. It's just overwhelming. So what we did was we got a social media manager and they respond most of the time, but I read all questions and comments. I read all of them. So never fear that I'm not getting your messages. Nobody's blocking anybody. None of that. There's not one person that's been blocked on our channel. If somebody talks ish on the channel, then your comment might not be posted. So you're wasting your time. Bottom line. But for the people who are productive and constructive and forward thinking or just curious, I love the comment section because sometimes I get on there and I'll give you an in-depth response, and sometimes I see the question and I say that would make a good response on a Q&A episode. So that's what we're doing today, folks. Well, let's start with the first one, right? This is from at Les Duffy 6032. The philosopher Rene. I think we're cut of the same cloth, that little thread that holds everything together but is at risk of unraveling at a moment's notice. I must have got to Folsom once you left. I went in October of 87, Building 1, 5th tier, and he put the C number, excuse me, it's D number, his Delta number, D00194. Man, that one line, that one thread that holds everything together, but it's at risk of unraveling at a moment's notice. That struck hard when you made that comment. It wasn't a question, but it gave me pause. I sat back and I thought of all the instances where things could have went sideways, and there have been a few. In one instance, I was at a shopping mall, and there was this guy. He was all yoked up. You could tell he came out of the gym, and he had ink all over him. And I was just looking at his work. I was looking at his, because you try to identify people. We call it social profiling, right? You look at a person, you see his demeanor, you determine whether he has command presence, whether he lacks confidence, his posture, his gaze. You look at everything. You know, it's what you do as an alpha, right? You gauge everybody. You size them up, if that's a simpler term. You size them up. So, and I wasn't doing it in an aggressive manner because I was with a lady friend and we're walking and the guy stops and I'm maybe 15 feet away from him. He stops and he's asked me aggressively, are you okay? And it just raised every hackle on the back of my neck, right? My hairs on my arms stood up and I responded, I'm okay. Are you all right? And he postured. So I postured and he said, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. You okay? And we started advancing towards each other. And my lady friend grabs me and says, what the heck are you doing? And in that moment, just like that, I snapped. It says, you'll go back to prison. So I just stared him down and he took a step away. So I took a step away and it died right there. But in that instant, it almost unraveled, right? There's another question further on down this list that I'll get into that you struggle with the demons, the battles that a lot of people don't see raging within you, you know, and they're there. But I've chosen to become a peaceful man. I don't want to participate in violence unless somebody forces me into that situation. And but yeah, it's that one simple thread that Les Duffy 6032 asked me about. It's there. That little thread is tenuous, but you have to maintain grasp on the on your reality, right? It it didn't necessitate that response. I could have just said, no, I don't want any problems, dude. But we all know that's not what we're made of. We can't simply walk away from something like that. It's hard. It's hard, but I do. It's not easy. So yeah, that was a great statement, and I truly appreciate it because it brought me back down to earth. It really did. It made me remember what's important. The next one is by David Garcia, at David Garcia 911. Question, do you fear for your life for speaking against all this? Is there a target? Can you make a video speaking on this? I would love to hear your take. Do I fear for my life? No. It's part and parcel of joining the Mexican Mafia that you're going to die. You're going to die in prison. You're going to die at the hand of the carnales, or you're going to die at the hand of an enemy, right? And sure, they want to kill me. But even when I was an active carnal in good standing, I was on the hit list 3 times. And it doesn't really necessitate you're violating rules or policy. It's just being unpopular, right? Or having a couple of foes against you that have political power. That's what puts you on the hit list. So I recall being scared for every day of my membership. There were very few days that I went by and it was like a honeymoon feeling, like everything was warm and fuzzy and glowy in the organization, because it's not the Cub Scouts. This is the Mexican Mafia. It's where people kill people for a living. And they, although they might not do it hand over fist, they do it through tacit approval, through acknowledgement, through vote, through abstination. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways to kill people in the organization, right? But it's really what it's about. It's about killing people. And so I'm not afraid of retaliation or anything like that. I'm really not. You know, when it happens at that moment, maybe I'll be frightened when I'm going to meet my maker, if it ever happens. You know, I hope that that's not the case. But until that time, I'm a free man and I live like a free man, just like anybody else. I'm in a nice, tranquil, rural environment where there's nothing but quiet and wilderness. So, you know, I think the odds of that happening are pretty slim. But it was a great question. Next is from Jailblazer at Jailblazer. I received your email. Can you please send another one with the details? Jailblazer is one of our nation's heroes. I want to say this. One of our nation's heroes, serving our country overseas, South Korea, I believe, requested a copy of the book for his wife. And I would be my pleasure, brother, to send you a signed copy for your wife. It would have to be from an undisclosed location, as it always is. I've done the winners. Please don't disclose the postmark when you receive the packet, and don't post pictures of it. But I also take precautions in that. But yeah, this is not the norm. I can't afford to send everybody books that request one. But Jailblazer created music for our content early on when we first began the Mob Spot, and gave us free license to it. So if you can also send that music to us again, or any other samples of music that we can utilize in our intros and videos, we'd gladly utilize it and promote your music. No problem. But I wanted you to know that your email did not go unnoticed. If you're watching today, shoot me another email. If you can't remember the email address, it's Rene Enriquez Uncensored at proton.me. Get at me and we'll get that book to you as soon as possible. It may take a couple of weeks because I have to contact the individual that sells them, make sure I get in touch with that person to sign the book. Also include in your email how you want the book signed. Anything else that you'd like. Like I said, you're one of our nation's heroes. You defend our country, and it's the least I can do for someone like you. Next question is by at Concentric Huevos. Renee, I can 100% relate to your experience. I was in the Middle East for 1 year in the military during Desert Storm, and I was going through a lot with my wife and my first baby while I was away. Reading my issued Bible that the chaplain gave me put me at ease, and I found peace. I gave my Bible to my daughter, and she keeps it in the car. God bless. At that time, we didn't have internet, and we could only use the phone about every 6 weeks, and mail call was slow as well. I was the CEO at a state and federal level, but took an inmate's advice, and I went to a different agency. I always did mail call for the inmates as soon as I could, and would call everyone's name out, and it turned into a tradition, with the inmates giving them nicknames. LOL. You know what? Another of our nation's heroes. I think one of the relatable things between prisoners and cops and servicemen is the PTSD, is the experience that we have in extremely violent situations, extremely traumatic situation. It bonds us, right? Almost every ex-con that I know and current convicts that I know suffer from PTSD. Every cop that I know, every serviceman that I know that served, anybody who's experienced a traumatic event in their life or witnessed it, suffers from PTSD. And I think that's the bonding thing, and that's what ties us. So to you, brother, I tip my hat. I think it's a glorious thing that your daughter now carries your Bible in her car. The Bible has taken me through some very difficult and arduous times, some serious adversities. And I did a post the other day that many people doubt the veracity of the word, right? I'm a true believer because I am the recipient of those blessings. And there's no man out there that can tell me different. I don't care if you're an atheist, if you're agnostic, I don't care what you are, right? I believe. And it doesn't matter if you believe that I believe or you believe that I'm a believer. I believe. So to you, concentric huevos, I tip my hat. Next question. It's Biggie at Biggie21. I heard a rumor that especially in the Los Angeles area, you have to get out of the car to do a drive-by or suffer the consequences. Was there any credence to this? And would this be something the Emmet would have established as a truce on the streets? It is absolutely true. I replied to the comment when I saw this, right? But it is absolutely true. With a bit of, I want to expound on it a bit. See, that stopping of the drive-bys was the basis for infiltrating gangs on the street. It's what we call the program, right? For the Mexican Mafia to attack street gangs and appoint representatives in each gang territory. But in order to do this, there had to be a solidifying cause, right? And that was stopping the drive-bys. That was the big public relations thing, right? But it was steeped in self-interest, right? It wasn't about moral fiber or doing something positive for the community, because I can't think of one thing that the Mexican Mafia has ever done positive for the community. So that's what it was about. But it went to a complete and utter corruption. So the original edict was you have to get out of the car, walk up to the guy and shoot him if you had a beef. We weren't trying to stop the gang violence, just the drive-bys in which innocent women and children were being killed. So from that point, gang members that would participate in these shootings would pull the car up, open the door, put one foot on the ground, and then fire from the vehicle and say it wasn't a drive-by vehicle. My foot was on the ground. I stopped the car, so it wasn't a drive-by. So technically, they were adhering to the edict or the order, right? And that's what it's become today. And that rule's violated all the time. It's really become a finance-generating opportunity for the Mexican Mafia. When a gang does it, they threaten to put a gang on a green light, and they pay to get off of it, right? So there is truth to that rumor. You heard right. You've read right. There's been some reporting on it. There's a ton of research on it. So, yeah, it's true. Next question. At TheMartin9400. Question for Rene. Why is it that despite so many YouTubers claiming to have spent years, if not decades, in that seg in the shoe, you're one of the few content creators that can articulate an educated thought, properly pronounce words, and use them correctly in a sentence? I get the feeling that those guys were coloring when they claimed to be reading all these philosophical books that were meant to turn them into master manipulators and leaders of men. You know, I thank you for the compliment. I'm not that articulate. You know, I just read a lot. And when I didn't understand a word that I ran across, I'd bust out my Webster's. And then I'd write that word down, get the definition, and use it in a sentence over and over and over that day, right? Say it was mellifluous, like, or whatever word, you know? Whatever word. I remember running across that word, mellifluous. What the heck is that? That's a 50-cent word for real. You know, so sweet and smooth sounding. Oh, that's what it means. Oh, that man speaks mellifluously. So you use it in a sentence, right? Or whatever word it was, you know? And I think some people want to appear educated. They want to appear as they are highfalutin, right? But I'm not one of those guys. I'm not highfalutin. This is just who I am. I'm just an average Joe. Drink my coffee in the morning, smoke a cigar once in a while. I just happen to speak well. You know, it's become my forte is the ability to articulate well with anybody. I mean, I could bring it down to the ghetto level, or I could speak to doctors or lawyers or judges or anybody. You know, I don't feel out of my realm or out of my abilities in speaking to any man or woman on any topic, geopolitical events, thermonuclear physics, oncology, you name it, you know, because I'm a voracious reader. I still read. Last book I read was was The Rent Collectors by Jesse Katz. Great book, by the way. I'll do a review on it soon. There's a plug for Jesse Katz, former Los Angeles Times staff writer. But great book. And I read it in one sitting. That's how good it was. Anyways, that's my answer to your question. And here's another one. At Tony Slugs ZZ, right? Are they out to get you? You think, bro? You think? Yeah, they are. I mean, that's part and parcel of one of the initial responses I gave in this session. You know, contrary to popular belief, the Mexican Mafia only functions in a couple of circles where it wields power, right? Gang territories, drug houses, and jails. My life has nothing to do with those things. You won't catch me dead in a gang territory. You won't catch me alive in a gang territory. I live far away from all this stuff. I mean, I think it's true that you can throw a rock pretty hard in any direction, and there's a gang territory there, some semblance of gang members, but the reality is if you don't involve yourself in those circles, then they'll never get you. You know, there's this myth that the mafia has drones flying around and they have this ability to go into the DMV and they can access this and they cannot. They cannot. There are layers of protection on guys like me. But even for the average Joe, just moving to a different town, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You know, so yeah, they're out to get me, and maybe one day they will. You know, and I accepted that as a consequence of joining the Mexican Mafia. So I'm not whining about that. You know, I'm not afraid. I mean, people think what they will, that I'm hiding, that I'm living a normal life. But thanks for the question. Great question. Next question is from Tuatha de Acacia, Jula Tafola, 9 days ago. And it's just a statement, but it struck me as so deep that I wanted to give her credit for this. Character is the enduring measure of a person's humanity, which transcends reputational damage suffered through societal judgment or the stigma of imprisonment. Character, you know, character. That's really what it's about. You know, what comprises you as an individual? What components make you who you are? And I think that's character. And I think that definition of character is what you do when nobody's looking, right? That defines your character. And that's just a reality. You know, it's a profound statement from one of the viewers, and it really caught my attention. So thank you, Tuata de Acacia _ Jula Tapoya. Very deep comment. It meant a lot to me, and I appreciate it. Next question is for Juan Rosas, FR4TL. And the question is, I have a question, and I say it with all due respect. Do you think about what was going to happen to your foot soldiers that were loyal to you when you decided to defect from the M, especially the ones that were loyal just to you? No, I didn't even give it a second thought, right? When I dropped out, it was my decision to drop out. And here's something, because I responded to this comment, I believe. I gave it about 2 or 3 sentence response, but I wanted to explain it to you, right? The mafia doesn't go kill your crew members if you drop out. They absorb them, right? Now, there's not one individual out there who can say, we whacked Rene's guy because he was on Rene's crew. No, that never happened. None of the guys that ever worked for me got whacked. If they chose to lock up later on down the line, that was their business. But they didn't do it because of me, because there were consequences that were going to be rendered to them. That's just not the case in the organization. Why would the mob go and kill the geese that lay the golden eggs? I mean, it's contradictory. It's counterintuitive. Like, hey, Rene dropped out, so let's kill all the guys that make money for him. Wouldn't they just say, let's take those guys and bring them into our crew? Thankfully, some of the guys just took off, right? I know this for a fact. And just went under. They went subliminal, and they functioned on their own without ever having oversight of carnales ever again. Once they left me, they were loyal to me, and they went and did their own thing. Some of them got absorbed by the crews of other carnales. Some of those territories that I controlled went on to become other carnales, which is, yeah, that's expected, right? but none of them got whacked. And that's not how the organization works. It doesn't hit everybody on the periphery. It doesn't go after your family. It doesn't kill your family. It doesn't kill the guys that were your friends. It doesn't kill the girl you're with or your brothers and your sisters. It just doesn't do that. Other organizations do, right? And I think that's the one definition that I'm very proud of the Mexican Mafia, right? If there's anything to be proud of the organization, it's that one, that moral fiber that they retain in not targeting family members. It's never been about that. It's never been about that kind of retaliation. And that applies to crew as well. Now I could see if a crew member kept espousing my philosophies. Well, Boxer said this, or Rene said this. Well, I'm only loyal to him after I defected. Yeah, they might get whacked. Yeah, but that's only a buffoon would do that, right? But I'm happy to say that nobody got targeted, nobody got hit, nobody suffered consequences. They just got absorbed. Next question by Aviana Melani. So why did they have a green light on you before you dropped out? Your book doesn't elaborate on it at all. You keep glossing over the key part of the story, and I wish you would tell us. In fact, Aviana called me a troll because I wouldn't answer. So I am not a troll, Aviana. I'm really not. I just can't possibly get to all responses, right? I can't get all the comments. But I saw that one. I said, you know what? She deserves a response. And I believe that's you're female, Aviana Melani. I believe you're a female, but if you're not, I apologize sincerely. I'm not trying to affix gender or anything just based on a person's handle. But let me tell you why. I don't know. That's politics in the mob. I was in the hat 3 times. In the hat means being put on the hit list, right? So I was in the hat like 3 times, right? They were politicking on me, and really, what it is, it's a popularity contest. You remember when you're in high school or junior high, and that guy was cool or that girl was cool, and don't talk to that guy because he eats his boogers, and don't talk to that girl because she doesn't wear Nikes or whatever the reason was. It's like that in the mob. But put that on steroids times 1,000, and the consequences are not being socially ostracized, but being killed, right? That's what it is in the mob. It's that simple, right? I didn't break any of the rules. I broke all the rules, but we all break the rules, right? We all break the rules. But I wasn't a rat or a coward or nothing like that, I was just a carnal. I had killed for the organization multiple times. I had 3 life sentences for the organization. And I found myself getting politicked on all the time. And that just gets tiring, right? It really is just political opposition. And that's how it works in the organization. It's just political opposition that roars up and they want to eliminate you because they're jealous, because they don't like you, because they want your territory, whatever the reasons were. I never figured it out, and I didn't stick around to find out. So people may call me a coward or whatever, that I took a blood oath and I should have stayed. Are you stupid? Are you freaking stupid? Yeah, go ahead and kill me because I took a blood oath. Screw that. I'm living a good life. I'm living a happy, peaceful life. I made the right decision. So I hope that answered your question, Aviana. And just remember, I'm not a troll. I look like one, but I'm not one. Next question goes to Real Ninja 1. You comment a lot. So I pulled one of your questions because you comment so much, right? You would do that. And some of these questions are pulled by the staff. Some of the questions are pulled by me. But Aviana's was pulled directly by me. The last one I just answered. So it's at Real Ninja 1, Rene Enriquez Uncensored. I look up to you. You're the real deal. You've accomplished more in one day than others have in their whole life. I'd rather have a lion by my side than 1,000 dogs. You're that lion, Mr. Enriquez. Well, you know what? That is very touching. And I don't know what to say about it. I thought about it. It's like, wow, that's an ultimate comment coming from another man. Is like that I'm somebody you admire, and I truly appreciate the compliment, brother. I truly do, and just know that I read it, and I appreciate you, brother. Next question. I'm new to this channel and I don't understand what's going on. Is this dude that's blurred Rene, and how does he get these jail calls? I am the guy that's blurred. I'm blurred because there's an appearance change, and I'll leave it at that. Figure it out. I get these calls because I've cooperated in hundreds of cases and I provide communications analysis, right? And they're not stolen, they're not jacked, they're not none of that. Uh, and I'll keep bringing them to you. And next one is SIN. Oh, Sin is Whack 101. Hey, Rene, I have a question. Do you struggle with your transition to the other side? Did you still feel loyalty to your friends after you left that life? No, I don't struggle with the transition, but every day is a struggle, right? Every day of freedom is a new challenge. Paying bills, paying taxes, pumping gas, learning new things like YouTube, the algorithms. I mean, everything's a challenge. So, but I think anything worth having is worth fighting for, and I fight that battle every day, and I'm blessed to do so. And I still consider some of those guys my friends, even though they want to kill me. I pray for them. You know, there's a few guys in there like Marky Kitos, Daryl Baca, a few guys that I still pray for, and I hope that they find peace in their lives, whether it's in there or out here. You know, there's a slew of others, but I don't want to throw their names around. I don't know why I mentioned the other two, but I pray for them, and I hope the best for them. So there is some loyalty to those individuals. I'm sorry I couldn't get to the rest of the questions, folks. We are running out of time here, but I promised you content. It's coming. With that said, we'll be doing more Q&A in the near future. Send your comments. I'll still be interacting daily on the comment section. I'll try to get more elaborate because no more content's coming out. I'll be responding to more comments there too. With that said, folks, keep watching the channel. Like, subscribe. Be sure to go to Patreon. Rene Enriquez Uncensored will be there as well. And please follow us on Instagram, Rene Enriquez Uncensored. Peace out, folks. Have a great day.